Sup, everybody. Now, yes, I'm sure some of you guys have already read the title and now are wondering what is going on. Like, is there another huge drama section? Like, you know, why suddenly are we pivoting the topic onto content creators? Now, here's the thing. For people who are newer, there we go. What's up? Yeah, my hair is getting long, so I have to like pull it back now a little bit. A little messy as well. Had a nap and I just woke up, had dinner, and started stream. So yeah, let's talk about what's going on and why I even decided to title it like this. And in order for this to make sense, let's go somewhere a little more peaceful where lightning is not gonna strike me. Now let's go to Sumeru City. All right, let's do that. So the reason this was even brought to my attention was because somebody messaged me on Discord and says, Walrus, do you know what happened to Sekapoko? And apparently, Sekapoko has stopped making YouTube videos altogether. While he's still active on Twitch, he chose to just not make a single YouTube video for a month now. Right? So, and then accompanied with people like MTash, Tectone, and these people who are just kind of slowly phasing out of Genshin Impact. They're just like, okay, so it seems like the patch 1.0 variety content creators, people who are more focused on just playing the game as opposed to teaching the game, whereas they don't make guides really, they don't really get involved with the math and the theory crafting and the nitty-gritty part of Genshin. A lot of these content creators are starting to phase out and leave Genshin Impact. Well, not leave, they're taking a back seat from Genshin Impact, and for good reason. And then I want to share certain things of how my experience in this community has been to maybe paint a better picture for people from both perspectives. Calipops' lack of content in game, while that does contribute to it, but that is, in my opinion, I would say it takes up 30-40% of the reason why a lot of these content creators just don't feel motivated and want to play this game even, right? Like a lot of them barely play this game anymore and they only do it to make videos for it, right? So, the thing, I had to dig a little bit when it comes to Sekapoko, because I've said this in the past. I don't watch a lot of Genshin content on my own, because first and foremost, not looking at leaks already phased me out of a lot of the more up-to-date Genshin and hotly discussed content. Apart from that, I don't really watch a lot of guide content, if any. I watch some showcase videos here and there where I want to see, let's say, a C6 Alhaitham and how he performs. I watch those videos. But apart from that, I don't really consume much Genshin content. Maybe the odd lore video for Genshin. Let's say I don't feel like playing through the Archon quest, or if I don't feel like playing through certain side quests, I'll go look at the quest and the overview, summary overview. And sometimes I even look at some what you might call it, the lore theory videos, if that makes sense, right? So what ends up happening is I actually don't have a large exposure towards the vast majority of popularized Genshin content, such as Twanto, such as Dish, such as Anthony Chen, such as Ziox, Sevi Plays. I don't watch them at all. And then there's Mogadi, right? You guys know these people, X-Slice. I'm just not really in tune with that part of the community. I can figure things out in the game to a point where I can have fun and enjoy it, and I can clear the content with all the new characters I pull, and that's good enough for me. That's good enough, right? Eventually, what I've realized is if given enough time and I continue to push the limits of these characters and test different things, I do end up at what those people say. For example, whatever Ziox says, whatever these guide people, these theory crafters, whatever they say, if you just play the game, eventually, if you want to slowly optimize towards it, you will end up at what they've ended up at for the most part, right? So that's why I think for me, that's how I've kept to myself amongst within this community. Now, when I saw that Sekapoko, like I know these people though. Like, look, I named a ton of content creators. I know all these people, not personally for the majority of them, but I know most of them. And to see people like Sekapoko suddenly just stop posting videos. I mean, if you guys remember back in the day, who were we watching when the game first came out, right? There was Damone Kim, there was Zeal's Ambition, right? And then there was Tectone, who was very, very big and popular. Not gonna really talk about that right now. There's MTash, and then who else was there? Sekapoko was pretty big when the game first came out as well. He blew up relatively quickly. In fact, a lot of the content creators that are still around today are what I would call Gen 2 content creators. Meaning, Majestic Gaming, Enviosity, yeah. These are all Gen 1 Genshin content creators. They were here pre-day one. They were here before the release of the game was even out. Most of these, if not all of these content creators were making videos about Genshin Impact when it was still in the beta. Okay? So, I'm telling you guys right now that out of all the content creators that I've named, the ones that are still passionate as they were back when the game first came out and excited to make content are far and few in between. I would say Enviosity maybe, right? But more than half of them have actually already quit. Asian Guy Streams had a very interesting, I would say glow up. Not glow up. What's the right word? Asian Guy Streams has a very interesting journey through his content creation career, because prior to making Genshin content, I don't know how many years, but the guy was making One Piece Treasure Cruise content. If you guys don't know what that game is kind of like a turn-based RPG based off of One Piece. And it also had gacha and it's like instance-based kind of, and he made content on that game for years. And when he came to Genshin, he saw an opportunity and he just went off, right? Like, I have nothing but respect for Asian Guy. I think the hustle he had in him and how he networked with all the content creators and how he continues to network and stay on top of content in ways that I think he comes up with some of the more interesting content ideas in the Genshin space when it comes to collaborations. He's usually the one who sparks these cross collabs that we never even thought was possible. He makes it happen. So I think Asian Guy Genshin really deserves a lot of the success he has found within this community. But talking back to like the Gen 1 people, is that the one thing that I've noticed was that most of them don't have an interest in Genshin that rivals what they started off with, right? So think about Damone Kim and Zeal's Ambition. Now, I never spoke to Damone, but I have talked to Zeal's. Not excessively, but just briefly. I've talked to him. Zeal's came from a game called Arknights. I don't know why I'm giving you guys all this history, but it's important to understand where these people came from and where they are now. I've kept up with a lot of them because I'll be honest with you guys. I looked up to Zeal's, I looked up to Damone, I looked up to Tectone. While I still look up to some of them, others not so much, right? Tectone's Falls from Grace is really due to his experimentation period. I'm not going to judge the guy for how he wants to do his content and stuff, and moving forward I will continue to observe, but I only take what's best and apply to myself that I think I can handle. I'm not going to try to replicate things that I am incapable of containing and making better for myself. So seeing Sekapoko now, this is so hard to talk about, because I remember when I had like 0 subscribers, or I had like a couple hundred subscribers, and I was constantly watching these people, studying their content and watching how passionate they were about the game, and each new patch just felt like I was constantly chasing after these impossible figures that I can never reach their level. I will never have people who care enough about what I have to say to, make this into something that's worthwhile, right? I remember those days, and they weren't that long ago. It was literally 2 years ago, where it was like that. And now seeing a lot of them just fizzle out, I seeing these people who I was tuning in to listen to what they have to say and hearing their point of view, whether it was good or bad. Like, I had a brain, I can judge whether or not they were kind of talking out of their ass cheeks or you know, they were memeing it up for chat and in videos mostly. But it just sucks, right? And after one of my viewers told me that Sekapoko now even took a break for like a month without saying anything, essentially. Like, if you go to his YouTube channel, he didn't post any community posts. He didn't post a video saying he's taking a break. He doesn't say anything, but he's still live on Twitch, right? And I didn't really dig deep enough to understand what the hell's going on, but it just made me wonder, right? Like, why the mass exodus, right? It's maybe it's bad timing, right? Like, Warpaint says, family issues, like yeah, like if something happens with family, of course that takes priority, but it just felt really weird, and I started reflecting on is it really because that Genshin is just so far detached from what these content creators are looking for? I don't know, you know, this is a discussion, people. I'm not here to say X, Y, Z, and I understand, but I'm just sharing it from my point of view so you guys can maybe help me break this down a little better as well, right? So let's say from my point of view, like apart from my work, what I look forward to the most is reading comments from my videos. Call it pathetic, call it cringe, but it's like, it's some of the, like, it's an important part of human interaction that I seek out. Although we're not physically in the same space, but just being able to get input from other people on a common interest is very satisfying for me. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, you can say like, oh, this video sucked, bro. Like, why don't you put more effort? I still take that as, okay, you know, note taken. But maybe to these content creators, that's not enough, right? Maybe that's not enough. And maybe sharing their opinions on the game has gotten to the point where, for example, let's use Tectone as an example, because we all know he has some great examples when it comes to his opinions really backfiring hard. And like, if you guys have noticed, even though he's a pretty hard-shelled guy, he has slowly decided to not share his opinions on characters as much anymore. Have you guys noticed that? Remember that when he first, when Ganyu was about to come out, and he said, from what it seemed like, Ganyu seems to function more like a support DPS, right? Like somebody who stays off field and supports their team that way. And like I said that too. I said, judging from how her kit looked, that seemed to be the way that she was going to be played. Obviously, we were wrong. Right? I have no problem saying I was wrong. I have no problem saying I was wrong, right? But it's like I misanalyzed. I didn't really understand her numbers properly. I didn't understand how she was meant, and I have no problems with that. But that hasn't stopped me from continuing to create conversations and discussions around how I think a lot of these characters are. Because I came from, like, I watched Tectone since 2020 February when I first got into Arknights, and he also shared his inputs about certain characters in Arknights. Yes, he's a huge whale and he is quite detached from the free-to-play community, but it was always interesting to see what that person had to say to certain characters. It was interesting. I don't know, man. Like, do you guys go to, let's say you guys go to Twanto. Very few people would go to Twanto for like build and guide advice, but it's always interesting to see what Twanto has to say about, let's say, a new character for his viewers, right? And that's the kind of relationship I had with a lot of these content creators. Like, it doesn't matter whether what they said was right or not. I just wanted to hear what they had to say about these characters. It's the same thing as watching react channels, right? If you guys watch, let's say, super hype moments in an anime, let's say Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, or like Naruto, like the OG stuff, right? Bleach, right now, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, you want to see other people react. It doesn't matter if their reaction is like aligned with your reaction. You know, let's say in a moment where you're supposed to get really hyped up, you got really hyped up, your blood started boiling, and you were like, oh my god, but they just kind of be like, whoa, right, cool, and then they got hyped for another reason. But it's just seeing that reaction, seeing what other people have to say about a certain thing felt good. It felt like I was there with them. I was there. I'm not alone. And in more ways than one, that got me through a difficult time, right? I mean, for a lot of people during COVID when it first hit, it was what can we say? It was a tough time, tough period, and I think having these content creators there sharing their opinions about this stuff really helped me get through a period where I really had very minimal social interactions, right? Dauntless Henry says a lot of whiners since day one. I mean, I don't mind the whining, right? People should be allowed to say whatever they want. We can call them out saying like, oh, you're just complaining all the time. And I see a lot of people calling MTash just like complaining. I'm like, oh, nothing but complaining. He's always complaining. He's always negative. But I think it was a necessary evil within the community. Imagine a community where no one says anything negative and it's always positive, right? For example, if I were to come on every single day and I was just at this blind positivity, you guys would get bored of me very, very quickly. It's because I believe it's because we have these dynamic shifts that you end up being able to enjoy a journey. Like if a roller coaster just went downhill the whole time and then ended, it wouldn't be as exciting as a slow turn into a fast one, into like going down into going up. It's the ups and downs that really highlights the differences here and makes it more interesting. So in a content creator space, I feel like having some of the ones who are more negative, because let's be honest, right? MTash was not always negative. He had some points where he was excited. Having a content creator that is slightly more negative towards the game and the company, while having other content creators who are more positive focused, creates a great balance within the content creator space. But there has been, I believe, manhunts that goes after content creators for, in my opinion, illegitimate reasons, and we should have just let them be who they wanted to be, say what they wanted to say. Now, of course, no one is going to cancel them but themselves. It's just like how they're allowed to say negative things about Genshin, we should also be allowed to say negative things about them. It's just they kind of cracked under the pressure, whereas Dawe just decided to go, wipe his tears with the crisp $100 bills we kept feeding him. So in the end, right, HoYoverse is going to win because they have a money printing machine. I mean, quite honestly, these content creators have one too. They have Genshin as their money printing machine, but obviously money is not the main drive anymore for a lot of these content creators. If Tectone wanted to, he could have continued making Genshin videos and milked, tens of thousands of dollars every month. Rough estimate. I'm not saying that's how much he makes. I'm just saying rough estimate. Just gave a random ass number. He could have made a lot more. So money is not the problem here, right? It's not about the money. Now, after I said my piece, I want to start reading some of these comments. Come on, lay it on me. What do you guys think is happening? Especially with the Gen 1 content creators. We're going to be talking about the Gen 2 content creators really soon, so brace yourselves for that. Let's see. Again, I'm not gonna highlight contents that are just plain negative, saying things like F MTash or F Tectone. Like, I want constructive stuff, like things that, I mean, we've all seen them, we've all watched your videos, and I would even call myself a fan of Tectone, of MTash, of Sakapoko at one point. But as I continue to change as a person and play Genshin and come to a new understanding, and I see how they've decided to approach their content, maybe I just stopped, like, that aura that surrounded them that back then that seemed so overwhelming start to feel pale and insignificant. You see what I mean? I stopped seeing them as this figure that I look up to, more as like someone that I evaluate, like peers. Even though I'm nowhere close to their size, I get that feeling because they stopped being genuine, in my opinion, with their content. Okay, let's see. Tech the Virus a little while ago says Walrus Techno never admits he is wrong, and bullies theory crafters like Jinx Tuner who have quit because his followers invade their Twitch chat. I don't deny that, Techie. I don't deny that, but at the same time, I've said this in the past. We cannot control our community. While Tectone didn't actively send his community after Jingjings and Tuner, I remember that incident. I was still a very young fledgling of a content creator at the time. I think I was at like a couple thousand subscribers, and I was just minding my own business. I never went out of my way to harass anybody. I was just giving my input, right? And I believe I've said this in the past, and this is by no means my attack on Jingjings and Tuner, but I have to say this again for all the people watching. I had a very specific period of time for about, I would say, like a week to 2 weeks, where for every single video, I had people from Jingjings and Tuner's community, even though they didn't send them, but they made it very obvious where they came from, right? They made it very obvious, where I had at least, I would say, 20 to 30 people. Every single one of my videos, like they were on it, and they had this huge mega thread about how like my content is garbage and how I should, just delete my YouTube channel, and how everybody who's subscribed should just go subscribe to Jingjings and Tuner because they have like the best content and they actually educate people as opposed to provide misinformation. Now remember, at the time, I was mostly giving input about how I felt certain characters were. By no means was I labeling myself as a guide channel saying like, oh, you should be doing that. I said, oh, this looks cool. I'm looking to build this character like this, X, Y, and this. And I was being just completely demolished. It was a battle I could not hope to win. At the time, I would be lucky to have, let's say, 100 comments on my video. Lucky. That would be like a very high comment ratio. So having 30 people every video having entire comment threads, and anyone who defended me had like tens of comments berating them. And it was crazy to deal with, right? And I tried to ignore it, and it eventually did go away. I realized the more you respond, the more you try to combat this stuff, the more difficult it would have been to kind of walk away, because then obviously the trolls would start saying, oh, this guy, we can get a reaction at this. So I just left them be. I deleted the comments. I literally was deleting hundreds of their comments every single day, because when they realized I was deleting comments, they would come back and post it again. And back in the day, people like Braxophone also had this. There were other smaller content creators who were also like harassed to bits by Jingjings and Tuner's community. Now, should we also say that Jingjings and Tuner, right, are bullies and they sent their community after me? No. I've never really, even after as I grew and grew and grew and have a bigger following, people supporting me, I've never once turned the gun around to them. And even now I'm saying it's not their fault, because you can't control what your community does, but you breed a certain type of people. You attract certain types of people. You attract similar minded people to your community. For example, I like to attract people who will oppose my thinking, who will not hesitate to challenge me when I'm making mistakes, right? So Jingjings and Tuner likely are collecting a bunch of people who believes in a certain type of absolute truth, meaning that you are supposed to arrive at a conclusion through mathematics and hard facts as opposed to your emotions, right? They find it very illogical and straight up dumb if you were to give any opinion that is not backed up in math and science. And these people usually are more like introverted. They have no problems calling you names, and they don't care what you think about them. They're just very straight arrow. They have very low EQ, if you guys know what I mean, right? So like they can have good IQs, but their EQs are abysmal. And I remember making videos talking about how a lot of Genshin content theory crafters and people who are meta followers have terrible EQ. And this is just a complete discussion, but this will hurt them in the long run, not just in Genshin, but in real life as well, if you don't know how to properly, deal with people, like people who have different ways of thinking than you, people who sees things from a different perspective. They can't do that. They struggle with that. Even till this day, like theory crafters, they struggle with being able to realize that other people can, process information differently, and they want to enjoy things in a different manner. There's a lot of people still like that in this community. But right, that's the end of that. Like, to be honest, Tectone never sent his community to go attack Jingjings and Tuner, just like how Jingjings and Tuner never sent their community to attack me. But it is what happens because that's how that's what their community are, right? EQ basically, I believe, is called emotional quota, isn't it? EQ, like, it basically measures emotional intelligence. It's basically how good are your people skills, right? How good are your people skills? For example, people who are very successful in sales, people who are great speakers. Not really. You don't have to have high EQ as a good speaker, but you have to understand people. Politicians oftentimes have really good EQs. They can, like, having a good EQ at times would mean you have to lie, meaning you'll have no problems lying to get what you want, right? But you say the things that you think this person wants to hear to get what you want. You're good at manipulating people. You're good at pleasing people. You're good at understanding and figuring how people work. While these theory crafters are really good at figuring out how numbers work and like empirical evidence work, they're terrible at things when it comes to, they're terrible at figuring out things that are more unpredictable and have more complicated variables, when you can't just chart them on an XYZ graph, or you can't just like run an experiment with a controlled variable and figure things out after a couple hours. They suck at it. That's why these two communities can never gel together, because fundamentally they process information differently. So that's what it is, and that's just how it's been all this time, and that's how it's going to continue going. Also called reading the room. Yeah, for example, let's say you're at a funeral, right? This is an example because I've actually had this happen to a friend of mine. Oh, they told me, but they have this other friend that they've known for a long time since they were kids, and then this person's grandma died, and his friend also knew the grandmother, right? And in the room during the funeral, right? Like, well, it's a funeral. Like, after the funeral, they were still there. People were hovering around, and a lot of people were sad. And his friend came up to him and was like, I really don't get it. Like, why are you guys so sad, right? She's dead. It's over. Like, we should try to live on in her memory and be strong and not be so sad, right? Even though what he said wasn't necessarily wrong, it's just he has a terrible time to say that kind of stuff. Like, how do you think people will see you when you come off saying stuff like that? Maybe, yeah, it's illogical, it's the right thing to do, but in the moment, it's terrible EQ to say that. Like, that emotional intelligence, like room temp emotional intelligence. When you have low enough EQ, you end up just sounding psychopath, if that, right? It's just like, that's what EQ kind of boils down to. It's having the awareness to know, yes, that is the right thing to do, but I shouldn't say that. Knowing when and what to say things to people and what you say to people is incredibly important. And a lot of people, like, don't know when to shut up, right? That's a big problem. Not knowing when to shut up, not knowing when to not say anything and just let things happen, right? Theory crafters can't. It's like when you go up to a theory crafter and say, I don't know, like say, what's something theory crafters are very passionate about? I'm sure they're very passionate about meta. So, oh yeah, you go up to a theory crafter and say, I hate playing Tartaglia, he sucks. They will not hesitate to correct you. They will be like, bro, that's a skill issue. You suck, not Tartaglia. Where, like, if you were to say it properly, like if you were to try to hold this conversation or prolong this conversation, let's say for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason you want to prolong this conversation, you can be like, oh yeah, why do you say that? You can ask the question back. Why would you say that? Like, what makes him? I know. Oh yeah, his elemental skill, too long CD, and then you can continue to say almost the exact same thing. Say basically, you can say that it's a skill issue and you're the one who sucks as opposed to Tartaglia, but you can say it in a different way that makes the message come off, and you can still convert them into playing Tartaglia and learning and improving at the game. There's ways to say things to get to that conclusion. But what they end up saying, skill issue, you suck, not Tartaglia, that achieves two things. That'll make that person not want to play Tartaglia even more because people hate being told what to do. And two, they're going to hate your ass too because there's no, why would you say that to them, right? That one thing, it went from one person making an objective statement about a character they don't like into not a physical attack. I'm not going to say they punch them, into a personal assault. Personal verbal abuse, basically saying, because he said Tartaglia sucks, I don't like how he plays, and I don't want to play him, into no, you suck, right? Think the person made a comment about a fictional character and you made a comment about this person. I know this is all overly complex stuff that has nothing to do with Genshin, but what I'm telling you is constantly people struggle with EQ. They're so freaking hung up on IQ. Oh, my IQ is in the 0.7th percentile. But they don't really care about EQ. You can be the smartest person in the world, but you'll be a very lonely smartass. You know what I mean? Walrus, how good is your IQ and EQ compared to other people? Dude, I am so average, you will not find another person that's more average than me. I am smack dang right in the middle of everybody. Listen, EQ can be learned, but for some people it's harder. For example, if you yourself are an introverted person, you will try to just avoid human interaction in general, right? It doesn't matter if you are a talented EQ master, but just because you are an introvert doesn't mean you have low EQ. Some introverts are extremely good at reading people and they can manipulate you very easily. They can get you to do things almost without saying anything at times, right? It's very impressive how our society values IQ so much because you can easily grade it on a sheet of paper, whereas EQ is just left out to dry. Nobody cares about EQ. Almost nobody talks about it. The fact is, most of you guys, well, not most, some of you guys didn't even know what EQ was, is a startling fact because this world is made out of people. On a daily basis, whether it's through a computer screen or in real life, you're dealing with people. Constantly, you're dealing with people. So having a high EQ, and even if you had a very low IQ, but your EQ is through the roof, you can probably get through life much easier. Let me tell you guys something. Having a high EQ and low IQ is a much more comfortable way of life than having a high IQ and low EQ. You know what happens when you're when you're the smartest person in the room and you make everyone else feel like a dumbass? You know what will happen to this guy? You'll get shunned. You'll get excluded. You'll get because you'll get ostracized essentially because you're so different from everyone else. You have to be able to blend in. All right. Even if you have the highest IQ in the room, if you have a good enough EQ, you would know to not show that off constantly. Okay. Rule number 1: don't stand out. This is not a world where standing out is gonna benefit you a great lot. It might seem cool. You might seem like the OP protagonist from an isekai anime, but I can guarantee you're not gonna end up like them. Right? You're gonna be gone by episode 3. Is what you're gonna be. So. Wait, Einstein had game? Einstein is a good example of having exceptional IQ, but also good enough EQ to keep himself in check. By the way, 3.5 is not a dry patch. It has story content and some potential lore bond. Yeah, but the thing is, when it comes to story content, almost all major patches have okay. Here's also another problem. When people say, oh, this is not a dry patch, it has this. When we say a dry patch, for example, let's just use real life an example. When a potato, where am I going with this? Okay, let's say a slice of fresh potato that you just cut, a slice of it. versus a piece of chip. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna make any sense whatsoever. We're gonna compare. We're gonna compare moisture content. Okay, we're gonna compare moisture content. Obviously, the fresh potato is gonna have more moisture, right? And then we say, oh, the potato chips is kind of dry. So in this case, the fresh potato with the moisture in it is like patch 3.0, 3.1, 3.2. Tons of content, overflowing almost. You can never get enough. Like, oh, it's so much moisture. If I squeeze it, I can even get some potato juice out. Oh, like starchy liquid. Whereas the potato chip, you can squeeze until your fists are bruised. You can squeeze until your nails dig into your skin. You are not getting a single drop of liquid out of that potato chip, right? But if you take science, if you take some sort of scientific apparatus and you try to scientifically extract more liquid from this potato chip, you can still extract the potato chip. Like you can still extract more liquid from but you wouldn't go around saying, well, look, because this scientific apparatus can extract liquid from this potato chip, and it's like, hey, but this potato chip is quite moist. Is it not? It's not moist. Just like 3.5 is not a content abundant patch. It's a dry patch. Just like the potato chip is dry. You can't just take and squeeze the ever living crap out of it, get like one drip and be like, look, it has liquid in it, so it's moist. Right, like I'm saying, 3.5 is by comparison a dry patch because you're comparing this potato chip with this piece of fresh potato, which is patch 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, which has all this content. Comparatively, it is a dry patch. Comparatively. Think about it like that, right? So it's just like, it's like the same thing when people go and say Amber is a great character because I can beat the Sparrow Abyss with Amber, right? But you can't say she's a great character. You really can't, because comparatively she's not a good character. If Amber was the only character in the game, sure, like you can say she's a great character, she's the only character in the game. Or if if all other characters apart from Amber played, like, I don't know, Dia and what's her name, Aloy, sure, you can say comparatively Amber is a pretty decent character. But everything comes with comparisons. 3.5 is not a content rich patch. It's a slow patch. Just call it for what it is, a slow patch. It's a relatively slow patch. Even when it comes to lore, it's not going to be as content rich as it's not going to be as content rich as the Sumeru stuff. We just went think about it like this, okay? From a storytelling perspective, what happens after a climactic event? You wind down. So what just happened in Sumeru? Like, what just happened in Sumeru? You had this climactic like finale of like battling and all this stuff, and like resolution, and then things start to die down. And what do you think is going to happen? They're going to reintroduce another line of, well, like, not really reintroduce. We're going to revisit another part of the story, right? It really doesn't take a genius. If you guys have watched like any long running shows, you know what happens after a climactic. Like, you need to give the audience time to breathe. Like, I'm making these videos and stuff with all this taken into consideration, saying like it's a slow patch, because even if when it comes to the Archon story, it's going to be relatively slow. It's going to probably introduce some sort of mystique or some sort of event or some sort of a new quest or like new search for something, but it's not going to really rile you up again. It's supposed to get you interested in this other storyline as you once again derail back into it and follow along. So it doesn't matter what they have planned for 3.5. It's meant to be a slow-ish patch to give players a chance to rest. You can't always keep the tension on players, like just non-stop gripping them. You gotta let them relax, take a breath, so then when the next ramp up happens, they are emotionally rested and prepared to go along for a great ride. Then the potato will be demoisturized and used too. Maybe a new weekly boss in 3.6 and new areas. Yeah, there might be a new area. I believe 3.6 should have some new artifacts as well, right? Aren't you doing the perspective lacking thing where others are saying they think it's better because of the stuff that's more important to them? Which is fine. Which is fine. If, let's say, you don't care about the characters in Genshin, you don't care about new zones, you don't care about new artifacts, you don't care about strong characters, you don't care about meta gameplay, right? You don't care about climactic story events, you don't care about like any of this stuff, and you only care about when there's like stuff. Because 3.5 has no teapot updates, has no TCG updates. It has a new Archon quest. But I'm telling you guys right now, from a storytelling perspective, this Archon quest is going to be a reintegration of a previous storyline that we get back to, right? And that storyline has also just concluded out of like a relatively climactic send-off, right? So by comparison, like, if you like the Archon quest, it's not going to be a strong patch for an Archon quest either. It just has Archon quest. That's what I'm saying. You have to compare everything. Unless you love exposition. If you love expositional stuff, maybe through like, but that is a very, 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 very niche way to approach a certain aspect of the lore. Like, oh, I only love the exposition. Because that's what it likely is going to be. There's going to be a little more exposition, setting us up for like something new that Dainsleif is doing, getting us engaged with that line of the story. So it's like, by comparatively, nothing is as good as what has already been done. That's what I mean by it's going to be a dry patch, because whatever 3.5 can offer you, you've experienced better versions of it in other patches. That's why it's a dry patch. Like, even with people are saying there are new TCGs, but can you say new TCG cards is as exciting as the TCG dropping as a brand new feature? No. So like, comparatively, it's still a weaker integration than when the TCG first dropped. So it's like, by all accounts of whatever 3.5 has to offer, there has been better versions of that type of content presented to us in other patches. That's why 3.5 is a slow patch. It's supposed to be a patch where like there's something there and you could enjoy bits and pieces of it, but it's not a patch where you dive headfirst in and lose yourself for days on end, right? And if you do that, you can still consume the content, but you're going to find yourself severely lacking in content. Techie the Virus says, Walrus, characters are their main content. If these are lackluster, the patch is usually dry. Well, you see, that's where people would beg to differ. Like, I play Genshin for the shade of green the trees are. And I know a lot of these people say this just to make a point, right? They just want to be different. They just want to be an oppositional force to the conversation. But and a lot of times I quote these people, and it's hilarious because people in the comment section is like, there is no way in hell anyone is saying that, but they'd be surprised. If these are lacklusters, these referring to the characters, if these are lackluster, the patch is usually dry, less sales, less YouTube content made, etc. Which is really weird, right? Like, I know the title of this live stream is talking about content creators. Like, if we talk about content made by these content creators, I found that people don't want to talk about Genshin as much anymore. What I mean by that is, you guys see the content I make, right? It's more objective to my perspective, meaning my experience with Genshin, and think of my YouTube channel more as like a personal video diary as to my Genshin experience, as opposed to some sort of Genshin catalog for content in general. But a lot, the content creators who share this similar type of content just don't have the drive anymore to talk about stuff. Like Dia is gonna come out, sure, but for example, Sekapoko, Tectone, I know MTash talks about it, but MTash is MTash, right? The guy's a tactical genius when it comes to making content for Genshin. But people like Tectone, all these other players don't, these OG content creators, they don't even bother saying stuff anymore. Which is weird, because at least, you know, let your fans know what you're thinking about these characters. And I'm interested. I'm so interested in what all the content creators have to say. And then there are content creators who don't even mention it, right? Like there are content creators such as Twanto, such as like these big content creators. They don't even talk about it. Like a new character's coming out, and then they release a videos like, every time I die, I eat a booger from my nose. Or like every time I die, I eat one of Asian guy's boogers. You know, or like I tape myself to the side of Genshin HQ. Even though I'm just like, damn, Twanto, what do you think about Dia? Like, what are you gonna like? But then the guy is just, you know, off doing his own thing, right? He has his own formula. You know, like I did a backflip into a pool of lolly. I don't know. These guys, it's like, I'm playing the game. I'm very interested what other people think about the next patch coming up. You know, all the informations, but it is very hard to get content that's talking about this stuff nowadays. Really, it is really difficult. Like there are a few content creators that are talking consistently about this stuff, but like vast majority of Genshin content is Genshin guides, meta videos, some collab videos between like big person. Like really, Genshin has watered down to the point where it's just a couple subcategories of people, you know, doing stuff that's involving the game, whereas people who talk about the game from their perspective have all but went extinct. Yeah, lore videos are there too, exactly, like lore videos, but there's like what, two, three lore channels. There's the, like here's the type of Genshin channels that exist nowadays, right? We got the variety, the personality channels like Twanto, Anthony Chen. We got the Asian guy Genshin type of channels where the Asian guy is more like a mix between the stuff. He's not as out there as Twanto and Anthony Chen, but Twanto, Anthony Chen, they're like the variety personality channels. We have the lore channels like was it something Esther, talking with Esther or chilling with Esther. Does a lot of lore theory channel. And then we have the meta guide channels. We've got the Zajeff, the Ziox, the Sevi Plays channels. We have the rant channels where now it's really just rant channel with Soul of an Artist. I'm going to include that because we really need channels like Soul of an Artist. I love that man to death, especially for his content. Apart from that, we have the like my type of channels where it's commentary channels. I guess that's what my channel is, commentary, just talking about stuff. But like yeah, like these are like the main categories. Am I missing? Like oh yeah, the guides, the farming guides, like the get all Dendroculus in the first hour. Sumeru came out. Those kind of like those very specialized guide, but I would categorize them as guide channels. Ashikai does lore discussion. Yeah, Ashikai. So it's leaks channels. Yeah. Of course, leaks. I completely forgot about that. So yeah, there's a ton of different type of content that you can dive into. So, but it really does feel like it's quite barren, especially because people don't have much to say about Genshin. I know sometimes my videos can come across as very like how should I put this, dry as well. You know, I'm not here saying my videos are rich in content, but it's something. It's think about it like this. It is what I had to say about my experience with Genshin that day, if that makes sense. Right? A lot of my peers have also talked to me saying like, dude, like how are you releasing a video every single day? Like what like what? You know, like, and they're being nice about it, right? They're being nice. They're not saying like, dude, you're just, you know, you're just milking it or stuff like. They're being nice, like, how are you doing, like, why, like. But for me, it's really just, okay, what am I feeling about Genshin today? What are people talking about today? What kind of questions do people have, right? Especially for viewers, comments, stuff, and direct messages, DMs through Discord. I'm just like, that's just what it's about today, right? Tomorrow might be irrelevant, but today, that's what I'm thinking about. This is what I want to talk about. It's kind of like when you guys come home, go online, whatever, you log in, play games with your friends, and you guys kind of just chat, right? Maybe a new patch dropped on the game, and you guys talk about the game. It's kind of like that, just de-stressing, talking about it. Dia video dropped. Oh, Dia teaser is out. God damn, this is gonna be some really lukewarm stuff, isn't it? How much effort are they really gonna put into a character's teaser? All right. Genshin Impact. Yeah. Oh, I have to go to Twitter, don't I? Twitter. Let's see. Eight seconds ago. Damn, you guys are fast. It's a 2 minute. It's a 2 minute thing. All right, let's watch it. Let's watch it. We got chat here. I mean, let's record it. You know, it's been a while. It's been a while since we since we reacted to a teaser video. Let's all react together. Be on your best behavior. We need to get through this with hopium and belief, right? Positively, blind positivity. I will be the single most positive beacon of hope within this community when it comes to Dia. I'll take all the hate. Let's do it. All right. Let's go. Sup everyone. Dia teaser just got released. You know what time it is, right? It's time for us to take out the hopium hats and take a big puff of that copium juice, because I mean, I don't know how many people are gonna make it through this teaser without shedding a tear, right? Being like, damn, she looks so cool, but how could they do her girl dirty like this? Don't worry, I have plenty of people DMing me being like, Walrus, please revisit the Dia subreddit. I'm on it. All right, let me tell you, I've infiltrated. I shouldn't be saying this in a public video, but yes, I will be revisiting the Dia subreddit. I promise you guys that. I know you guys love that content. Not to make fun of them, right? Not to make fun of them, but really to get a better understanding of how can these people survive off of this much hopium juice. This stuff can be lethal in high dosages, but for some reason the Dia mains have mastered the copium levels in their body. So I'm sure the Dia mains are also watching this. So let's get right into it. All right. Hope the volume is good. Let's see what Dia is all about.
Dia, can the wall really keep the sandstorms out?
She never meant for it to keep anything out.
Don't you think Somero City's a bit far, Dia? She'll get homesick. Besides, who knows how the people in the rainforest will treat her?
Please, can't you let us in?
No, entry's prohibited.
But the sandstorm is raging, and we have a child with us.
You hard of hearing, no means no.
Come on. This way, quick. Easy now. Watch your step. Don't worry. If they do find you, I'll handle it. Relax. Just trust the Dendro Archon. Things are different now.
Whatever you say. But what are you planning with all that Mora? Isn't that like your whole life savings?
You'll see when we get there.
All right, we'll take good care of the girl. Your generous donation will be used to provide for the desert orphans. I'll need a name for the fund.
How about the Wall of Hope? That wall was never meant for keeping things out. It was for protection. I hope the kids can forget about all the sandstorms and have a chance at a real life.
The wall of what? She said. Hoyoverse, are you doing this on purpose? What the hell?
How about the Wall of Hope?
Oh my god. This joke writes itself. What the hell? Wait. Okay, let's break this down. Like, okay, apart from the memes, let's say if she were to be a good character. Let's say she was to be a good character. Theoretically. She's a kind-hearted mercenary, right? She worked her life and she wants to just better the life of the people. You know, like she's not all about money and wealth and herself. She's not selfish, right? She's very selfless in that form. And in fact, if you remember back to her kit, this is one of the things I constantly say about Genshin Impact, these teasers, these character personalities, and how their kits work. Dia is a selfless character. She's selfless. That's why you see in her skill, she takes some of the damage you were supposed to take, and she takes it herself. Right? That's the kind of character Dia is, and this is reflected. Like I know memes aside and stuff like that, but that's the kind of character she is. It's just really funny that I don't think she's going to be able to bear the pain of all the players who had high hopes of her being a good character. Listen, I don't know how high this wall of hope is, but I'm sure it's not high enough to compete against the amount of dosage hopium hits these Dia mains are taking upon themselves. Now, at this point, I think if you're still claiming to be a Dia main, you have more than likely accepted the reality that you're currently in, that Dia is going to be a somewhat mid character, if not a subpar character. What is my opinion after watching her kit being revealed in the 3.5 livestream? Am I still hopium? Am I still all in? Am I still what's going on, right? I'm still thinking about polling her. I still want to, test her out, but I'll be honest, of course, disappointed. Did we think there was going to be more changes to her kit to make her a better unit overall, or point towards some sort of meta usage even in the future? None of the sort at all. Now, does my hopium video of saying Dia is going to be a burning character which synergizes with melt playstyle in the future still stand? Does that still work out here? Maybe, right? Like, I still think there's a chance that Hoyoverse is developing an entire new line of pyro units, because let's be honest, is Dia going to be a great vaporized character? Absolutely not. Is she going to be a great pyro, hyper carry, mono carry? Unlikely, right? Like, I mean, you could make her work. She definitely has some scaling in her kit, and I'm sure most people are going to try to play her as an on-field DPS in the pyro category. Right? You get your C6 Bennett, you get your Dia, you're going to be clapping cheeks. But really, she's just not a character that fits into the category of playstyle that we have in modern Genshin. So what does that lean towards? That, of course, points towards, or not of course, but that more than likely points towards a future where this line of pyro character will continue to evolve. And when I say evolve, Dia is by no means the first of her kind, right? We had Jinyan. Followed by that, we had Toma. These are all characters that Hoyoverse had experimented with mixed scalings in the past. Dia is by no means a new concept within Genshin Impact. So let's say if we want to see things like melt-centric pyro characters, maybe we should start experimenting with Xinyan. Maybe we should start experimenting with characters like Toma, whereas Toma is much more equipped in the Burning Version team. Xinyan is still very much lost in what she is capable of doing. But hopefully, when Dia comes out, her selflessness, right, and with a dash of copium, hopium belief, will get her at least a very bare minimum team of functioning balance between utility, power, and damage. I hope. It's just unfortunate to see a character that is so selfless, but to the point where she's maybe given out a little too much of herself, and has very little left to then show for herself. Right? Maybe she is nothing but a shell, and she has given out almost everything she has for the sake of others. And in this case, I really hope the Dia mains can accept someone that really struggles to stand on their own. Right? That's it for this video. Thank you guys, chat, so much for sticking with me through all this, and we're gonna be continuing the Hopium train. And I really wish in a couple months I can look back and say I told you so, but maybe, just maybe, it's a little bit of a far reach for this one. Till next time, urge you all to stay safe, and peace. Bye. Jabba, what are you doing? Jabba, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. What? What are you doing? Look how big she's gotten. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Why do you look so guilty? Why do you look so guilty? Why do you look so guilty? Jumpa, what were you doing just now? Hello? Very good. Now behave. Whew. That's a big cat. That's the biggest cat I've ever seen in my whole damn life. I think we have a good shot at the Guinness World Records with my cat. You know, I might register her in the Guinness World Records. Just feels like yesterday she was a little thing. Yeah, look, this is her. This is her the day I got her. You guys see that? Probably not. Maybe I should send this photo onto I don't know, how am I going to show you guys? I actually have a photo of her when I first got her. Oh, you guys can kind of see it. There you go. Yeah, you guys can kind of see it. This is her the day I got her. Whew. They grew up so fast. They grew up so damn fast. Anyways. You know what's not going to grow up very fast is the Dia community. Got him with that one, didn't I? Pander Lovers Zoe says, how are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What a cute photo. How old is your dog now? I'm not sure about dog, but the cat that I just showed you guys is 9 months. Growing so fast. Oh my god, you responded. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, there's not a crazy amount of you guys here, so you know, yeah, I can definitely respond. You forgot to trash Venti in your video. I know, I tried. I really did try. But it was difficult to squeeze them in. And I squeezed like 2 of them in there. But when I was editing it, it just felt like it didn't flow and felt like too forceful. So I cut them out. So yeah, Venti got to survive in my last photo. In my last video photo. Why does your hair look like Mika though? Bro, I'm fully doing the Mika cosplay now. Look, if I dye my hair blonde, I think I can pull off Mika. I've never been responded in a vid before. That's why I'm excited. Oh yeah, tune in more. You know, I read comments. I mean, I try my best to read, but sometimes to answer a certain question, it takes a while, and I kind of have to skip a lot of other people's comments. But yeah, I mean, I really like responding to you guys. At least Venti used to be good. Yeah, I don't think I've ever once said he was never good. I think my biggest gripe with him is the fact that he was so good, and comparatively, he's not so good anymore. You know, I feel like I wouldn't even have that big. I wouldn't even have this big of a reaction towards Venti had he just never been good to begin with. If Venti was always a bad character, I think I would have just accepted him for who he is. But showing us Venti, having him being so good, and then kind of gutting him to the point where he is now, feels very disingenuous to me, right? You're not supposed to be nerfing characters, even though Hoyoverse would say, well, we didn't nerf him, we kind of just changed what was important in Genshin. Kind of like a business corporate, like a very corporate way to say like, well, you know, sue us, right? It's not illegal, we didn't do it. They know very well what they did. Venti is still S tier in I Went to Lose latest tier list video. Yeah, but doesn't I Win to Lose have like a C6 Venti with like a what R5? What's that weapon again? His signature weapon, right? And like he shoots Venti's burst out into the spot, and then he uses his C6 R5 DPS to one shot the units, to one shot the enemies. I'm honestly shocked that not all of I Win to Lose Gaming's characters are in S tier. Yeah, Elegy, right? Like honestly. I don't think. How should I say this? I really appreciate what I Win to Lose Gaming does first and foremost, but his showcases have a way of misleading certain naive players into thinking that as long as they put enough effort into artifacts and grinding and min-maxing, they too can reach that level of effect. And I can't even count on the fingers of my hands here how many times people have come to me saying like, Walrus, like what more can I do for this character? I think I've reached a limit. I look at the artifacts, they're cracked beyond belief, and I'm just like, god damn, it's just unlucky. If you had this artifact and this level of investment into a meta character, you wouldn't even be coming to me with this problem, right? Because they're saying, Walrus, I'm kind of stuck, and I sometimes I just feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle. Like, what more can I do for this character? Like, you can start spending some money on consolations, you know, you can pull consolations. But then they're like, yeah, but I've seen in showcases that this character is hitting for like way more damage. Like, how come I feel like I'm hitting like no damage compared to these people? I'm just like, well, who did you watch? Like, who did you watch? So it's like, I don't know. Maybe partially it is also the viewer's fault, because when I Went to Lose Gaming does his showcases, he's actually pretty clear on what his weapons are and what his consolations are. But it really just takes somebody just missing that crucial bit of information and getting completely misled, right? English maybe is not people's native language either, so having him explain things and stuff like people really maybe don't understand. Of course, not I Went to Lose Gaming's fault, but it's just that having these type of content, like his content is heavily based around these high hitting numbers, kind of like Tony 2. Whatever happened to Tony? You guys remember Tony? Haven't seen him recommended on my I'm pretty sure he's still active. I'm pretty sure he has to be. Yeah, he's still active. Like I Went to Lose Gaming's content has a very similar charm to Tony too, in that it's all about hitting high numbers, just hitting hard, right? Showcasing underwhelming characters at times even, and showcasing the potential they have, let's say with R5, like cracked out artifacts and stuff. R5 weapon with like 5 stars C6 support. Let's say Cryo Kaya with a C6 Shinhe can feel very busted, right? So they're very much chasing after the damage per screenshot meta, as opposed to really something that is more practical and consistent to every day. It's kind of like showing you guys what a kitted out, modded to the teeth Honda Civic can do, where most people are not going to be driving around town with a kitted out like a jet engine for engine Honda Civic on your daily streets, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry that took so long to get out of my mouth. It just I don't know, the words kind of got lost there, right? Jan Nowak says, off topic, will you do C0 Shinhobit, like her value and performance with C0 Ayaka, C0 Ganyu? Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. Let me show you something. I actually have both of those characters, so I don't need to really pull them. Hey, let's play Cryo Eula. How's that? Let's play Chong Yun with Cryo Eula and Shinhe. Where is she? However, maybe I have to level her up a little bit. But one of my favorite teams to play is actually this team. I actually really like this team. Where is she? Boom. And boom. And boom. I love this team. I love this team so much. I call it Absolute Zero. It's basically a perma-freeze team, and it's so easy to apply perma-freeze. You get a lot of particles from Ganyu, Ayaka. So Ayaka's burst comes back relatively fast, almost right off cooldown with Ganyu and Shinhe. Kokomi has just really good consistency for hydro application, and but this team is very expensive. It has 4 limited 5-star characters, and it's, in my opinion, it's way too expensive for you to go for this team as a free-to-play player. Even a welcome player, I wouldn't suggest you go for this team, because Shinhe could not be used outside of this team. I mean, outside of freeze teams, essentially, or cryo carry teams. Ganyu nowadays kind of struggles, but yes, of course, she can be in Morgana, she can still be in certain freeze and even some Dendro melt teams, right? She works. Ayaka is probably the best solid investment, along with Kokomi. I would say Kokomi is probably the best when it comes to versatility and investment, followed by Ayaka, followed by Ganyu, and then Shinhe. Shinhe, you probably shouldn't go for her unless you're dead set on playing Cryo, right? And this team actually has a more meta version of it, and it goes like this. This is actually no, not this. You take out Ganyu and you put in Shinhe. There you go. This is basically what most people would run on this team. It's also a really good team. In fact, it's a better you concentrate more of the damage back onto Ayaka, but then what ends up happening is like Ayaka becomes essentially a hyper carry. She's the sole damage dealer pretty much on this team, accompanied by Kazuha a bit here and there, right? But mostly I would say like 90%, maybe even 95% of the damage comes from Ayaka. If you're not comfortable with this kind of playstyle and you want a more shared DPS environment, then you have to bring someone like Ganyu. That's why I like this a lot. This offers me great flexibility for particle generation as well as damage splitting between Ganyu burst and charge attacks as Ayaka burst and charge attack. Yeah, overall is that. It's a lot of fun. Did you buy Ayaka skin, Walrus? Absolutely not. I'm not gonna pimp out for some overpriced skin. Here's the thing. even though buying it doesn't cost me anything, pretty much. Like come on, it doesn't cost me much. But what am I getting out of it? Like, I always have to ask myself, even if let's say I were a billionaire, like, what would I get out of it? Like, is the enjoyment just for the cost of that skin? I can go out and have a pretty decent meal, right? In my opinion, having that one-time meal would be more enjoyable than purchasing this skin. Even though it's not about the money, but it's just like, I don't find any resemblance of joy purchasing this skin. I'm a foodie. I don't know if you guys can tell, right? I think it's pretty obvious. But this skin truly doesn't do it for me. I'm not a huge fan of Genshin skins. I gotta admit, I'm not a huge fan of Genshin skins. They're really just like, you know, those, if you guys play League of Legends, they're like those $2 reskin of, ignore Kaching. Kaching is a special case. They're like these skins, if they were in other video games, they would be like the cheapest reskins of characters. Genshin Impact has some of the most undesirable skins, I gotta say, in some of the games I've played. And I know Genshin is much more like, they're much more akin to realism. They want to focus on the realistic aspect. They don't want like freaking D-Look wearing a coat made out of flame, whereas his ponytail, like, he has like dragon scales for one of his arms, and he suddenly like rides on like a death pony with leaving behind ashes and ember. While that's gonna be cool, it doesn't really fit D-Luke's character design as well as, like, you know what I mean, right? Genshin doesn't like that. They like realism. They like the lore of the characters. They like the outfits to reflect certain aspects and characteristics of these units. They don't just like to show off particle effects and whatnot. But come on, like, you know, you're a fantasy game. Let's not take ourselves too seriously here. For, like, in my humble opinion, right? Like, I don't think video games should ever take themselves too seriously. Some level of attention to detail and realism, sure, like, I can respect that. But when you go so far as to try to reinvent the wheel at this point, because let's be honest, like, these skins, it's not worth it. It's not. Nobody can convince me this skin is worth the price tag. But it's kind of like Prada bags, and it's kind of like Louis Vuitton bags. I don't think Beluga-chan heard me. But it's kind of like Prada bags, overpriced and unnecessary. Let me sit up. I don't think she sees me. I don't think she sees me. I'm gonna try this one more time. These skins are just like Prada bags, unnecessary and overpriced because they have the branding. I give up. She doesn't hear me. She doesn't hear me. Okay, but that's my point, right? Like, if name one other game that dares to price these kind of skins at this price tag if it were not Genshin. If it were any game, gacha game but Genshin, they would not have the balls to price this kind of skin at this price tag. Like, look, $24.80. How much is that deal? Dude, that's a $60 skin. That's almost a $60 skin. For Canadian. I think it's like a $50 skin, right? Like US dollars. Listen. For the Philippine gang, I know I used to have somebody I work with from the Philippines. They say like rent there could be as low as what was like $200 US a month. Like, that's like buying one of these skins, that's like a quarter of someone's month's rent. It's Oh, yeah. I can't. It's not worth it, guys. And it never will be. Leech says $100 a month, dude. Not even 200. Yeah, that's like half of someone's rent. Think about that. That price tag, do you know what I expect for that price tag? I would pay $50 for who? Let me show you guys for who. For Zhongli's Archon skin. And let me show you guys this. Zhongli Archon. This is what I would pay for. $50. Right here. I want Zhongli in this outfit with fully reanimation for his auto attack sequence. Keep the numbers the same. I want a whole different aura for his elemental skill. His pillar will look different. All the same damage numbers. Like his voice echoes now. When he talks, his voice echoes into the eons, right? He has a nice aura glow. His burst comes down as like maybe a spear, like a giant ass spear from the heavens. And when it crashes, it kind of lets out this burst of energy and petrifies everything. I would pay $50 for that. I would. There's a lot of effort that goes into that stuff, right? I would pay $50 for this. I would. I truly would. Right? He has new AFK voice lines, all the good stuff, right? All the good stuff. I'm telling you guys. Genshin skins, way overpriced. What about Venti Archon skin? Hard pass. That's a hard pass. You know why? Not because I don't like femboys. I think femboys are hella cute. Alright? Nothing sus about that. I can say it because I believe in it. But I can't justify spending $50 on a character that I barely use. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's not even about the way the character looks. It's just I don't use the character. Dragon Year is next year. I would be surprised if they don't have Zhongli skin. Is Zhongli like a dragon though? Okay, he is. He is. Cool. Oh, do you know what would be really cool? Oh my gosh. Do you know what would be so damn cool? I know it's probably not going to happen. Where's Zhongli? You know what would be cool is if a skin, like where Zhongli is standing here and one of his idle animation is him turning into a dragon and floating around here. Like just turning to a dragon. Turning into his dragon form and floating here. And then he'll turn back. That would be hella cool. Like you have to stand here and AFK for a little while, and when he does one of his animation, one of it turns like he turns into a dragon. That'd be interesting. I know it's never gonna happen though. It'll never happen. Yeah, like if Zhongli's skin doesn't change the way his pillar looks, that would be very disappointing. I want a new aura for his shield, and I want a new pillar. I want a new burst skill. I'll pay $50 for that. Best Hoyo do is more voice lines. Yeah, I know. I know. Have you watched Dia's teaser? Yeah, I have. The video is going to be out later. Once I finish the live stream, I'll quickly edit it and have it uploaded. We talked some stuff. Yes, there were some levels of hopium in the teaser, but more so an analysis of Dia's characteristics. They just need to make different buyable burst animation that would be clean. Stop giving them ideas. Stop. That's too good of an idea. that's such a OP monetization model. Can you guys imagine if all these characters have multiple burst animations that you can purchase with Primo Gems? Weapon skins would be cool. Yeah, I would love for my Zhongli to not use these weapons that look like Mondstadt standard fit for Mondstadt militia. I wish I can reskin this weapon into a different looking weapon. It just looks so sad. Oh, brother. Use Vortex. I do have Vortex for Zhongli. In fact, I summoned Vortex for him way back, but like the skills, man, like the skill is so oh no. If only this attack, if instead of attack, this was like crit rate or crit damage. This weapon wouldn't be too bad if instead of attack percentage here, it was crit damage. Homa looks good. Homa looks good on everybody. Look at that. Homa looks good on every single character, like spear character. Homa has a sick design. Look at the flame spikes and then the glowing stick here. Like Homa looks sick. I love this weapon. Homa is probably one of the best looking weapons in the game. Let me see. The bows, I'll be honest, the bows don't really strike me as cool. The spears are by far, I think, the coolest. Second, I think catalysts are pretty unique. I don't have a lot of them, but like Nahida's little lamp here, or like, what is this? Like her teapot? What would you guys call that? It's cool. Catalyst allows for some more unique design. I think catalysts are pretty cool. It's a shame they're slightly underrepresented. They're underrepresented. Wow, look at this trippy effect. When I turn at the rate of which this orb's turn, like a counter turn, the orb looks like it starts spinning. Look at that. Look. You guys see that? It doesn't look like it's spinning, but it's still spinning. It's just that I'm turning at the same rate. See if I can speed up. I can speed up the spin. I don't know. I get fascinated by dumb stuff like this. Okay. I get fascinated by dumb stuff like, ooh, trippy. Stop judging me. Stop judging me. Whoa, relativity. Yeah. Oh wait, Beluga-chan is listening now. Let's say it. Wow, these Genshin skins are just like Prada bags. Overpriced because of branding. No Prada bags. Beluga-chan, do you want to come say hi to chat? You do not. Chat, do you want to see Beluga-chan? Beluga-chan can come in with Jabba. They're all saying hi, Beluga-chan.
Hello.
They can't hear you. You have to come here and say it.
Hello.
You guys hear her?
Hello.
Wait, I can tell if they can hear you. Okay, say something.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, they heard you. They heard you. Dr. Slayer says it's to the point where they don't want to play the game, and that's what you get in contact and will come in. I think a great way to summarize it is that a lot of these content creators are smart enough to recognize that Genshin is still profitable, but at the same time, much like an office job, they've come to be bored with it, right? It's such a shame when your passion job turns into like a job that you don't like. So imagine your distaste for your daily average jobs, but just imagine that now you're living that life in Genshin, right? You're making Genshin content. You don't really want to make it. You want to be making, I don't know, like Elder Rings content. You want to be making Nikkei content. You want to be making like any of the other games that you're currently playing. You want to make League of Legends content, PUBG content, Valorant content, World of Warcraft content, but you're stuck playing Genshin because you know the second you make anything else, your viewership is going to drop by 90%. It's quite a depressing position to be in for a lot of these content creators, right? And I think it takes a lot of grit and guts and financial stability, mainly financial stability, to be able to stop and break out of the cycle. They can always come back and make more money, but what's more important is their mental health, to be honest, right? There's no point to start hating your YouTube job if you have an option to take a break. Which really sucks. Like a game like Genshin should have never reached this point to like where these content creators feel like it's a chore to make content for it. Really does feel bad, man. Dr. says, and with that new Genshin creators will come in and try and make content. But the problem is, yes, there are still content creators coming into Genshin that are very successful. They can gain like hundreds of thousands of subs relatively quickly. But the vast majority of people who come in are coming into a community that is far too saturated. There comes a point where a community becomes so saturated that it's almost like winning the lottery when it comes to becoming a successful content creator within the space. Now, if you come in with exceptional content, yes, you're almost guaranteed to make it. Let's say you have a very unique editing style, you have a great persona or like a great personality, you are very knowledgeable on the game, and you have a lot to add to the community. You'll most likely make it. But the vast majority of people who are just interested and want to build a community for themselves are going to struggle. They definitely will, because there's too many competitors, and YouTube will prioritize the ones that are already succeeding, right? Why promote content that you are unsure of to your audience when you know Twanto, Dish, Anthony Chen, Asian guy, right? These people's videos are a surefire way to get people to watch Genshin content. Apart from the few oddballs that come in here and there, most of, like, I would say 99% of Genshin content creators, like newer ones, pretty much just get buried. Some of them are very nice. Like, I remember when I first came across Soul of an Artist, his videos just blew me away. Not in quality or anything, it's so rare to hear somebody who can be so entertainfully negative, if that makes any sense. I think Soul of an Artist is a great example of, he takes what most of us feel, like he takes that frustration that a lot of us feels, and he vocalizes it in a way that could also be said to be entertaining, right? Now, while yes, a lot of the things he says is way over the top and excessive, and he's very crude and could be offensive to some people, but I find that it feels very freeing having somebody embody that aspect of my thinking, being like, I can finally see my frustration vocalized by somebody who is good at what he does. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. I think Soul does it just more tastefully than Tectone. Tectone still feels too real, whereas Soul makes it actually feel like a performance. This is a case where you need it to be theatrical and not real. Whereas Tectone has done a great job at embodying a persona that is faked, and he plays it up for the audience. It's faked, but it feels real. Whereas Soul is like presenting us with something that is obviously theatrical, but it's also like real. You know what I mean? It's more theatrical than real. Like you can tell it's a theatric. If you can't tell Soul of an artist is being theatrical with this content, now you do. Now you do. Yeah, theatrical parody of real frustration. Exactly. I mean, a lot of people who watches Soul's videos don't understand that, which leads to him now having to put a disclaimer in front of all of his videos, which kind of sucks. Like, I don't think that's necessary, but you know, it makes sense because to a certain degree, you get so many death threats, you get so much harassment that you have to just spell it out for people. Troy Addict says, what? Why is it fake? Because it don't align, I guess, with your view. That's stupid. I don't know what you're referring to, but if you're saying the fact that I'm saying Soul's videos are fake, and I'm saying it because it doesn't align with my views, I don't know how you even extrapolate that data for like that point of view from what I just said, but I'll say it again. Maybe simplify it a little bit. I'm saying Soul puts on a performance in his videos. Yes, he's frustrated, but he is not frustrated to the point where he is like losing his mind, kind of like how he presents himself in the videos, right? He's very over the top, he's very upset, and he's very verbal, and he's, you know, he's obviously agitated. But I'm telling you that he doesn't actually feel that agitated. Sure, he's annoyed, but he's not going to like, really, he could do without making a video. But the reason he's making a video is he's presenting that level of frustration because he knows the community feels it as well, and he kind of plays it over the top as a way of performance to present to the audience as a form of entertainment. That's why I think his content is good, and Soul is very good at doing it. Unlike people like Tectone, who tries, but Tectone just ends up being too crude and rough around the edges to perfect this type of content delivery. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. So he don't react the same way. Exactly. For example, okay, Troy Addict. Let's give an example. Let's say Dia right now, right? My reaction to Dia is, damn, it really sucks that Dia is gutted like a standard banner character. I really wish Dia could have been a limited character with more potential. That's my reaction. So let's say Soul. I'm gonna pretend to do a Soul persona, right? I might get demonetized for this, but I'm just gonna pretend saying the exact same thing, but Soul style. You know what really grinds my gears? When a character that is perfectly fine, but Hoyoverse decide to shove a stick up her ass and release her in a god-darn forgiven way on life support for the community to take a piss on her. Like, it just, that's how Soul kind of delivers the same message. Like, is he really feeling that, you know, upset? No, but he's finding creative ways to bring out the frustration that we all have inside of us with more creative diction, more funny lingo, and just gets that uneasy feeling off of our chest. You know, it just, like, at least for me, when I watch this video, it's like, damn, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Couldn't find the right words for it. That's the right way to go for it. You know, stuff like that. I love that. I don't know. Maybe it's very distasteful type of content. I know it's not for everybody, but I like it. That's why I first saw it. I was like, damn, I gotta show you guys this stuff. Soul is secretly Walrus alt account. Now, who is this Soul? Darth Kun, if you go on YouTube and search Soul of an Artist, he's a Genshin content creator who makes like more so negative videos, but he does it very tastefully. In my opinion, he does it very tastefully. Roland rises. I really wish the rating on Genshin was higher. Imagine if they could do what they did with Honkai Impact 3rd with the Genshin world. I think Genshin takes a different approach to this genre of games. Well, yes, it's at its core a gacha game, but Genshin is wanting to be more than just a gacha game. Truly, you can get away with pulling like I'd say 2, 3, 5 stars, which is not hard, right? Like if you are smart about it, meticulous with your gems, and follow the advice of veteran players, you can get away with pulling 2, maybe 3, 5 stars, and you can clear the game. Genshin is truly supposed to be an experience more than it is a game to be played. You're supposed to be experiencing Genshin. It just so happens that you can actually control a character and run around the world. But Genshin comes as a whole package, and I don't think a lot of people really understand what HoYoverse is going for. It's a very it's a very expensive way to deliver the story of Genshin Impact. Like think about it, like they spent what 100 million or 200 million to start the game, and a live service every year is about 100 to 200 million a year. It's a very expensive project, but the quality that it delivers truly deserves for it to be like experienced like through all aspects. There are some games where you play, for example, Nikkei. All right, Nikkei. If you guys don't know what Nikkei is, it's this game. Yeah, it's this game where you play Nikkei for very obvious reasons, right? You're not really saying I play Nikkei for the story, man. I play Nikkei for yeah. I'm not gonna even try to hide it. It's a very like PG game with a lot of cleavage and butt cheeks and stuff like that. But Genshin is not that kind of game. Right? There's a lot of games where they only have a couple selling features, whether it's a franchise that carries the title or like a couple really good characters that carry the title, or fan service. Fan service ends up being very popular when it comes to developers' choice of what they want to prioritize when they want to just sell a game with no prior backstory. But Genshin is a game that came out of nowhere, was able to captivate its audience with very high quality character design, and at the end of the day, I think it's really deserving of your time. Nikki the fashion game? No. Oh, Nikki. Wumba. Did you used to play what's that fashion game that you used to play? What is it called? Nikki, right? Yeah, Beluga-chan played Nikki the fashion game. It's the one where these characters have like terrible things happen to them, and you gotta help them get back on their feet or something like that. Isn't it like they have a tsunami, or like their house was hit by a huge storm, or they have that's Project Makeover. What is Nikki? Nikki's the one you spend money in. The one you spend money in. Ah, whale. Pay to win. Oh, it's Love Nikki Dress Up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one she played. Yeah. I watched her play it. I even tried a gacha for her a couple times, but I don't think we were very lucky. Before I let you guys go here, why do I sound like a homeroom teacher? God damn it. I'm not that old, I swear. Okay, before we disperse, I want to talk a little bit about Honkai Star Rail. since we are damn it, like it even brought trauma to myself just now saying like before I let you guys go. Anyways, talk about Honkai Star Rail. I was able to, I was talking with somebody who has been playing the beta, and you know, to be honest, graphic wise, quality, game design wise, I think it looks amazing, right? Like, let's be honest, it's made by HoYoverse. It's gonna look amazing. I don't have any problems with giving it a try. I might make some content about it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna likely go free to play. Here's the thing I've come to realize about Genshin Impact and stuff like that is that being pay to win, paying for these characters isn't gonna mean anything. And I think HoYoverse has found a working formula, and I honestly believe that Honkai Star Rail might not have PvP at all. So when there's no PvP, there's no competition. When there's no competition, there's no drive to be stronger. When there's no drive to be stronger, there's no rush in getting characters. When there's no blood, you guys get the deal, right? I might be like a battle pass Welkin Moon type of player, but I probably won't wail for it as hard as I did for Genshin. Probably, right? So I'm probably gonna make some content for it. It's a turn-based RPG game, which I know it's not for everybody, but in turn, it also means that I can play it even more casually than Genshin Impact. But Zenith Zone Zero is on the horizon as well. Wuthering Waves I'm really excited. Blue Protocol as well. This year might be a really, really exciting year for games, and look forward to more content on the channel for different types of games. Like I said, you know, I'm always looking for things that I can indulge in when it comes to downtime. All right. Until next time, I urge y'all to stay safe and peace. Enjoy, truly.